Happy Monday or happy Wednesday, everybody. My name is Jonathan with Cinco Squad. With me is Mike DeSanto, and this is an unusual one that we're doing here. Mike, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Hold on one second. Let me fix my headphones.
All right.
For some reason, my headphones not working. But yes, everyone, we're coming in at you from our Wednesday special because you know what? It's a special episode because of Championship Week.
Mhm.
We figured we got a lot to talk about, so let's talk, Mike. Been a great week so far, so full of sports. And this is primarily why I haven't done a 30-second videos because I can't talk worth shit right now. So
You're good. No, it's been nuts so far. There's been some big games, some games that we expected to be close that really weren't, and then some games that we thought would be blowouts that are really close. So it's been wild. So it's been, as some would call, madness in March, before March Madness. Can't hear you, bud. Yep. John going through some technical difficulties at the moment. But and there he goes. Well, here I am. So we've been watching I know John and I have been talking. We've been watching a lot of college basketball. Guys have been watching a lot of college basketball. Some big things happening. While I'm alone, my North Carolina Tar Heels currently in the process of finishing off the Boston College Eagles. I really thought Boston College was going to be a tough out for the Heels, but I was telling John earlier today that the biggest thing, and there he is. Look at that, it's John.
My computer apparently is not ready for this week's episode because I surprised everything. Nothing's working. Everything's just shut down on me. So
that's not good.
Yeah, it's not good. What the fuck's going on? Oh, my headphones died. That's why. Why I'm not ready for the show this week, Mike. So I got to come at you from my telephone today. So hopefully that's right. But yeah, we just decided to come in, do this episode today, and just kind of come, live during championship week. It's been a great week of college basketball so far. Obviously we love it. We're going to talk a lot tomorrow, so make sure you guys all tune in tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a good show tomorrow.
8:45. We got Mike and Jamie on, or Pat and Jamie back on. As you can tell, I'm not even prepared.
I'm always on.
What's been your most interesting game so far this week?
Well, actually, while you were gone, while I was alone, I took the opportunity to be able to talk about my North Carolina Tar Heels finishing off Boston College at the moment. Was talking about how, like, you and I had talked earlier today, and I had kept telling you, I was like, it's all going to depend on which version of UNC shows up.
Yeah.
Which this looks like the one more similar to the tournament team from last year.
They look good. Really.
I'm enjoying the fact that they're finally, like, consistently shooting the three outside. Yeah. What did I tell you, though? I told you Armando Bacot.
Yeah.
I told you about the ankle, and it happened.
Oh, it did?
Oh, yeah, he rolled his ankle. He was out.
You jinxed him.
I know. He was out for,
live on air that Mike jinxed.
Yeah.
Armando.
Well, he's fine. He's fine, apparently. So, yeah, no, he rolled his ankle, I think, with like 8 minutes left in the first half, and he missed the rest of the first half. And then they played him for a little bit in the second half. He was good coming out of halftime, but once they pulled out by more than 20, they just took him out as a precaution, which we expected. But yeah, no, he went up and tried to grab a rebound, right? And rolled his ankle landing.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like, you have got to be kidding me.
Oh, man. Yeah.
But besides that, you think the biggest like shock that I've seen, honestly, it might actually be, throwing it back to our college days a little bit. It might have actually been how bad UMass got beat.
Oh, yeah, they got their
That was crazy.
They got their shit pushed it 71-38 by Richmond. And UMass wasn't a bad team this year. UMass was
not really
team
no.
this year. They were pretty on par with St. Bonaventure. I mean, St. Bonaventure didn't have a really good team, but they were okay. One thing I gotta say though is, what I was trying to say in my whole 30-second video that couldn't fit into 30-second video.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for having TikTok. Appreciate it. Is it's going to be very difficult. I think this week is going to be very difficult for the selection committee to put teams in or take teams out. I mean, obviously you're going to have the auto bids, right? That are going to solidify their fate. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's set in stone yet. Who's in, who's not. I mean, UNC looks like a tournament team right now. So as a committee, you're looking at them like, shit, all right. Do we give them a chance? Do we give them an opportunity? Because they look how good they're doing. You know what I mean? So it's like, one of the things, I've been noticing, just like a lot of great basketball. Like, and, obviously, like, maybe not great basketball, right? So, like, obviously when you get to this tournament time, you start seeing, like, dipshits take a fadeaway shot that shouldn't be. I'm just messing.
Gee, I wonder who that was.
I like, honestly, when it comes down to, these games, like I'm watching, like, look at Nova rolling over Georgetown, in 41-20 right now. Like LaSalle and Duquesne are, up one. LaSalle's up one on Duquesne right now. So,
right.
It's a great college basketball championship week this week because just of all the close games.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think, we've talked about it a few times on the show before about how much, parity from the beginning of non-conference all the way up through conference play, the parity in college basketball this year, how everybody at least at some point looked like a tournament team. And I think it's really interesting. And I've been thinking to myself going into this past week, as seedings for all of these conference tournaments kind of solidified, I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, you look up and down these conferences and there's not too many teams in each conference I could point to and go, well, they're definitely not winning the tournament.
Yeah. I mean, especially with the ACC. ACC has been really locked in tight.
Mm-hmm.
We got a comment here. Our buddy Shane saying, "What's up, boys?"
Shane, good to see you, bud.
He asked us who we got for the early national champ this year for March Madness. Dang, Shane, that's a good question. I'm not sure yet. I mean, honestly, like, Kansas is the reigning national title. Mike, they got to get in first.
I understand that, but I got to show some pride.
I mean, honestly, the way, Gonzaga look good, right? Like, I mean, he says, I'm going to go with Gonzaga. I can't disagree with that, honestly, because Gonzaga mulled over St. Mary's last night. I'm going to have to go Kansas for the time being just now, but I don't know. That's a really good question. I mean, I really don't know at this point.
Yeah. My only concern with the Zags is they look great against St. Mary's. Don't get me wrong. It's just, and it's really a question for any of like the top teams in these conferences. There is a lot, and we've talked behind the scenes about it. There is a lot of Big 12 teams that are going to give people problems this year. Like starting with Kansas and Baylor.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna come down to a few teams here in the Big 12. When you look at it, I'm just thinking like off the top, Iowa State, Kansas State, all the teams, but all those teams got upset last week.
Right.
They are Kansas State, Kansas, and Baylor all upset last week.
Right.
By a lesser team. So it's like, how can I pick someone? You know what I mean? So
yeah, I don't think that's the thing, and I think those upsets may help those teams in the sense of like, all right, guys, you just got shocked.
Yeah.
We're never letting it happen again, are we?
Yeah. I mean,
so they're going to be there's so many dangerous teams.
Yeah. I mean, it's a real interesting battle when you come down to it. Right. So when we look at the totality of the, the resumes, when you look at the resumes for each team, you see like teams that are saying like, oh, okay, it's this guy. You know what I hate about college basketball right now is this quad shit. You got this quad one, you got this quad.
Oh yeah, I've never.
I never understood it. And like when I
No.
look at the quad, and they're like, "Oh, North Carolina doesn't have enough quad one wins," or they were criticizing Bama earlier because the quad one runs, the quad one games they played, they don't have enough wins to be a number one seed. But it's like, how did they not be a one seed? Because they're 3 losses. Now I'm not sticking up for Bama because we already know of that situation. But
Right.
I mean, this is a time that time of the year I love. I wish I could take this whole week off just because I sit here and watch multiple games. Next week, you know how I do, and I got
yeah,
rolling. I got 4 of them going. I got all 4 games rolling at one point. So it's going to be an interesting tournament. But I just want to shout out one thing in particular. Jim Boeheim of my faithful Syracuse Orange.
I figured
Took a loss today to Wake Forest on a game-winning bucket, and it was heartbreaking, man, because we fought back from 12, and then all of a sudden, boom, we lose the game. And then after the game, Jim Boeheim decides after 47 long years he's going to retire from basketball. And here's one thing I wanted to say is, and it's been on my mind for the last few hours, is even though it's been a really rocky over the last 3 or 4 years for Syracuse basketball, I think people that forget that Syracuse basketball was a powerhouse of a school and a powerhouse of a anytime you had Syracuse on your schedule, you knew okay, you're gonna get a game,
right?
And I feel like at some point or another we lost that going to the ACC. I always said this when I was growing up. Big East was all just the mean green, the mean looking people, and they're just they're not, they don't want to mess with them, right?
Right.
But then you look at the ACC, it's the prim and the prime, you got Duke and North Carolina, and all
Blue Bloods.
But okay, so the ACC was always upper class, and then the Big East was middle class, blue collar, dudes just balling out, men just balling.
Peasants.
I miss that. And it's you always held your chin up a little higher.
Peasants.
I was oh, okay. So, but to my point on the whole thing is that I think, Jim Boeheim meant a lot to Syracuse. Being in a town of 400,000 people, to put 35,000 people in the dome, it's very hard to do in Syracuse, New York. You made a good point. It's very hard to do. And, ultimately, I think this is going to be a good thing for the program. I think Adrian Autry has been with the program for over 30 years, either assistant coach, associate head coach, player. He knows the culture. He knows what it takes to be a Syracuse Orange. And, I think he's going to do an amazing job. But, definitely don't want to, go away without saying, thank you to Coach Boeheim for, all the great memories, all the great, games that we got to see at the Carrier Dome, and, definitely enjoy retirement for sure. Play a lot of golf, and, definitely you're going to be missed on the sidelines, but it was definitely time.
Yeah, no. And so from and I figured you'd want to say something about that, and I appreciate, because I think, that I know that definitely comes from the heart from you as a long time, someone that grew up in Syracuse, long time Syracuse Orange fan. He is Syracuse basketball. When you think Syracuse basketball, it's Jim Boeheim. So from an outside perspective, I will say, complete respect. As much as it's kind of a love to hate him type of thing.
Yeah.
Because of all right, not only am I a North Carolina fan, so all right, Syracuse is in our conference now. When we were kids, right? When you guys made the move, all right, Syracuse is in the conference now. I can't like you because we got to try to beat you, twice a year at least in conference play. The other thing is just having grown up, in southern upstate New York, it's still Syracuse is a big thing. It's the biggest basketball program in the region. So, you hear about Boeheim, whether you're a Syracuse fan or not, you hear about Boeheim all the time. So it's kind of a love to hate him relationship, but at the same time, absolute respect.
Yeah.
He's one of the greatest total basketball coaches ever, and for sure one of the best college basketball coaches ever.
Yeah.
And no one, and it's a shame. I'll say this from an outside perspective. It's a shame he only got one national championship because he deserved more.
Like a lot of the ones that he coached against, like we went to 8 Final Fours.
Right.
That's 5th all time. He's 5th all time again to take his team to the Final Four. And we before I say what I say, Anthony says, "What's up? What's up, Anthony? Where are the others?" Anthony, this is just a spontaneous show. Mike and I just decided to put on. We were watching college basketball. I said, let's talk. Let's talk some college basketball before we get on the show tomorrow. And so, what am I sipping on? Nothing tonight. We'll tell you.
Tonight. That's tomorrow.
Shane, definitely the best basketball game I've ever watched was Cuse UConn 6 overtime. Remember, I stayed up for the whole game as well, Shane. I sat there. I remember that game clear as day. I remember I was like so mad because I had a 6 a.m. skate for hockey that next morning. I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, damn, just end already. And then people don't realize though, Devo hit a shot at the end of Eric Devendorf hit a shot at the end of the game that went in, and it was literally on his fingertips as it hit 0. And I'm like, oh my God, literally a tenth of a second more, and we would have won the game because he hit the shot. And that's when you see the highlight of him jumping on the scoreboard and everything. So, Shane, I definitely remember that as well. That was a great time. That was the Big East days, man. You had that honestly, I didn't even care about the NCAA tournament that much.
You said this earlier.
And this is gonna sound dumb, right? So when it was the NCAA tournament, yeah, of course I wanted to win a national championship. That's cool. And that that's all great. But I look forward to the Big East tournament because you knew you got some really good games. It didn't matter who you're playing. It could have been DePaul or it could have been anybody.
Right.
You knew you were gonna get a dogfight. You knew that Georgetown, UConn, Villanova, Pittsburgh, Louisville, West Virginia, they're going to bring it every night.
Right.
Those are some good coaches right there. Think about that. You got John Thompson, you got Jay Wright, and this is the second generation of Big East coaches. This is Jay Wright. Right. You got the guy from that coaches TCU now. I forget his name.
Yeah.
Pat would know for sure. Yeah. But then you had West Virginia, Bob Huggins. You just had a plethora of Hall of Fame coaches there, and it was just great. For me, it's bittersweet. It is bittersweet, and I don't want to make this too much about Syracuse because there's a lot of great basketball out there. But I just let people know that it does. It's a bittersweet moment. Like Pat and I were talking about, it is a bittersweet moment. I've never thought I wanted the day to come, but I also am like, okay, it's time.
Right.
You can see it on his face, right? You can see it on him, and that's just something that I just am so thankful for because it was something that brought my grandmother and I together close. So we had that ties. I used to go over every day to watch that. So ultimately, like I said, congratulations to Jim Boeheim on an amazing career.
Yeah.
I know it's probably very difficult to walk away, but enjoy your retirement, and let's continue this basketball talk. Let's see, Anthony, appreciate you.
Don't worry, I'll get to him eventually.
Shane says, "Cute Duke and Minnesota are my favorite teams to watch from 2000 2010. Loves Hakeem Warwick, Melo, Jerry McNamara, Rounds, Devendorf, Scoop, Flynn. Man, you're bringing back memories, Shane. I'm trying not to get emotional. It's fun to watch those years. Those are some cool dudes to talk to too. I remember Jerry McNamara. I had a story where I interned at a TK99 down in Syracuse and the radio show, and he was there every Thursday doing a show with them. And I remember talking with him sometimes, and it was really cool because he didn't treat anybody he's famed in Syracuse.
Right.
So him in Syracuse is like, okay, so let's talk. And he just treated you like a normal person. It was just
that's awesome.
I'm 16 years old.
Right. That's just Jerry McNamara.
You sent us to the Big East title.
Hi, Jerry.
Oh yeah, JJ Redick was unbelievable to watch at Duke, even though everyone hated him. Yeah.
See, but the thing is like I hated JJ Redick because he was good. And he always used to hit big shots. That's why I hated it. Like you know how I feel about Grayson Allen.
It was crazy too, because right after JJ Redick came, Greg Paulus out of Syracuse, of course,
right.
and then John Shire, who's the new who's the head coach right now. So it was just like, God damn, they just keep, and then but like Duke kept doing that. Like in my head, I was like, and they just keep getting the guys, and it's just like,
right,
damn, like okay, they got another guy, okay, well, they got another shooter, and it's like, damn, but yeah. I definitely think so. That's my. And James Shane says favorite college basketball player ever for both.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Tough one.
Yeah. Man, so obviously it's gonna be a Tar Heel for me.
Well, yeah.
But it's like which one? Like there's always gonna be a soft spot in my heart for Psycho T. Like Hansborough is the man.
That was the worst answer you could have made.
Why?
I don't know. I'm just messing with you. I hated Tyler Hansborough. That's why.
Well, there's a lot of people that did.
I hated Tyler Hansborough so much I would root for Duke. Like that's how bad I do.
What? Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's kind of not a personable guy, supposedly Tyler Hansborough. Man, that is tough. You know what? Oddly enough, and John I think John, being that we were going to school at the time, is going to kind of understand this one. I would almost have to say Marcus Page.
I can see that.
I would almost have to say Marcus Page.
Marcus Page. I mean, he hit that. He hits that shot.
Oh no! It's the best shot no one will ever remember.
And it's like people don't remember that. Like I remember talking to someone. I was like, "Such a great shot, Marcus Page." They're like, "What shot?" I'm like, no one remembers that. They only remember the one shot that Nova had. And that was just crazy. But yeah, I mean, my favorite player is probably between a few people, right? G-Mac, one of them,
right?
Rakeem Christmas is another, and then the third one is just kind of a toss-up, right? Like, it's tough. I would go probably Arinze Onuaku. It's one of my top three, I would say. But if you want to tell me I gotta narrow it down to one, it's gonna be Jeremy McNamara.
Okay.
He just electrified, the 3-point shot, in my opinion.
Right.
He electrified that. Like that was just I'm not saying he's not anything like Steph Curry or anything like that. I'm not giving that much credit, but I'm saying like the stuff, like it was automatic. Like
right.
And that's one thing I think about, like with these younger players, they're just shooting so much, but his shots were so precise, and you knew that it was a 95%, or if he missed, it's like, okay, we'll take it. Where now, like I feel like everyone's shooting, everyone wants to take a shot, everyone wants to do everything. It's like back then, it felt like college basketball was at a place where like ball moved around. You got a lot of good. It was just a different time in basketball, and it's okay to be different now. I mean, Steph Curry did change the game for 3-point shots, but let's see.
Well, I think one thing that people forget about with Jerry McNamara is that he was is exceptionally strong with his basketball IQ. Very smart player.
The passes he would make his senior year were unreal.
Yeah,
he made unreal passes. His I can't remember this one pass, but I think it was a pass to CJ Fair. I want to see CJ Fair.
There's a name.
No, I don't. CJ Fair was on yet. I will forget who the guy was, but I remember just seeing him just cross half court. He's looking this way.
Mm-hmm.
Dribbling, and he's looking over there. Dude is cutting across, and I see him just boom, alley-oop from half court, like right above half court. I'm like, oh my god, dude! It's like the mindset, the vision on the court was just.
Oh yeah, his spatial awareness, how he didn't right. He didn't have to look at anybody else to know where all his teammates were. And that was just I mean you guys had such a just well-oiled machine of a team for those years that like they didn't need to really there wasn't a need for a lot of communication because everybody had a role in every play and they would execute the role in that play exactly the way they needed to, and they didn't have to worry about each other, covering for each other.
Yep.
So yeah, no, it's just that was an exceptionally good team.
Well, Mikey, I mean, let's get on to championship week this week.
Yeah,
we can reminisce on the past all night long. But I mean,
that's true.
We got some good games coming up. We got a game right now starting with the ACC. It looks like Davidson took care of Bonaventure. Wake Forest took care of Syracuse today. I think the Big 12 is going to be a very interesting tournament. I'm sorry, but I don't mean to be like all on the Big 12 this year, but it's just going to be it's like Oklahoma's playing Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's favored in that game. It's like, okay, and then West Virginia goes and beats Texas Tech, who is a team that Texas Tech was supposed to be a top team this year. So it's like, we got a lot of good games. And then like tomorrow, we got Iowa State Baylor, West Virginia, Kansas, and then I forget who plays the winner. Who plays for Texas?
It's the winner of that OK State game.
Okay, yeah. So
I mean TCU Kansas State.
10 minutes here, 9:30, or a couple minutes here. I mean, man, it's TCU Kansas State ranked game right there. Texas is probably going to play Oklahoma. Oklahoma has given Texas trouble all year. Oklahoma's given ranked teams trouble all year. I think I think it's gonna be tough. I mean, who do you think is gonna win the Big 12? That's tough.
That's tough. I think the final is gonna end up being Kansas Baylor. I do.
I don't know if that can happen.
Can it? I thought, aren't they the 1 and 2? Or who's the?
No.
There's Texas. Texas is 2.
Texas is 2 because they're playing at 7.
All right.
I don't think they can because I think it's the way the bracket goes. It goes simultaneously across.
Well, but that would make Baylor the 3?
You can just look online.
Yeah.
I'll look online.
Yeah.
Who do you think is going to win?
It's tough because like you said, there's a lot of good teams, and even unranked. Like, I'll never count this Iowa State team out. They've looked. There's been a lot of times they've looked really good.
Yeah, they get a few good games going. I mean, that's a little. That's a team that can just come out and just start, winning games.
Poach 2 really good players from Bonas. Side note.
Yes. They play Kansas in the second round if they move on in the semis.
Okay, so if that's the case, as a semi, I guess I gotta go with Kansas as the favorite. I think they'll be able to. I think they'll be able to hold on. I think it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough, but I think Kansas will make it.
Okay, I have Kansas State winning it all.
Okay, that's a very good choice.
Road, they got a really good team.
Mm-hmm.
A solid road to the championship game. I think they can beat Texas or Oklahoma. I think they'll handle TCU. I think Kansas is going to probably have a tough time with West Virginia. Baylor, like you said, Iowa State can put up a fight, man. But Iowa State needs this win. They're
100%.
I think they're on the bubble, but they need this win. Let's go to the SEC. So we got SEC coming up here, and just
you know what's interesting? TCU's favored by 2 points.
Yeah. Oh, because they're
that game.
They're a ranked team. That's why. Oh, they're both
against Kansas State.
Yeah, they're both. They're higher ranked.
Yeah.
They're lower ranked. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, and only by the line's only right now 2 points for TCU, so they think it's going to be a close game.
I think it's going to be a close game. I think honestly, like when it comes down to it, those teams right there are playing for, between Baylor and Kansas. That's playing for one seed, right? You know, so the number one seeds right now are, from what I've seen, is Kansas, UCLA, Baylor, and Alabama.
I think Houston's. I think Baylor's a 2.
Houston. I knew
Houston's the other one. Yeah.
Houston. Yeah, you're right. So right now, I mean, it could change, right? Like, so Baylor goes and beats Kansas, wins the Big 12. Does that take Kansas out of that play? Like, that's where you see. So it's good. It should be interesting for the SEC. Did Jamie's team win? Let's see. I don't know.
For those unaware, Jamie's team being the Kentucky Wildcats.
So they get the double bye. They're in a double bye, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're the 4 seed, so they don't play. Their double bye games won't start until Friday. That's right, because the Big 12 SEC championship. I mean, it should be a very fun weekend of basketball. If you're a basketball fan, you're out there and you want to just, if it's a miserable day, even if it's a nice day, you should be sitting at home watching college basketball like this weekend. It's going to be some really good games. I think it's going to be come down to the wire type games. Obviously, the teams that should handle business. But yeah, I mean, we got Virginia Tech right now playing NC State. 2 good teams right here, 22-9 versus the 19-13. Have given Duke, UNC, and all these teams trouble all year. I think State actually beat North Carolina.
Yes, they did recently.
So, definitely. Hey, Mike, quick question. So,
yes.
I know we were talking about back in the past. I know you just kind of started getting into college basketball maybe over the last 7 or 8 years. Mm-hmm. What is kind of your for the NCAA tournament, right? So when it comes down to it, way back when, and this is something I bring up, way back when there used to be, and I think Shane may know this, is you used to have that regular season meant a lot,
right?
Is because not everybody made their third conference tournament,
right?
So it was the top 12 teams, and there were 16 teams, so 4 teams always got left off, right? Do you think college basketball should go back to that type of mindset to make the regular season a little bit more challenging than it already is?
The way the landscape of college basketball looks right now, I would say no. Yeah. Simply because, as we've said 1,000 times, there's so many good teams. Yeah. But I feel like if you chop off, for example, the Big 12 this year, if you chop off the bottom even 2-3 teams, you might be losing 2 or 3 good teams that could shock. And tomorrow on the show, we actually have a topic that kind of talks about those types of shocking teams. But yeah, I think at this point now, if you had asked me this question back in college, right? When, for the most part, even the ACC tournament, your Boston Colleges and your Wake Forest and stuff like that were kind of getting left in the dust at that point. They'd have an opening round game where they'd get beat by 20 or 30 by somebody. If you would ask me then, I may have had a different answer. Honestly, I may have said, yeah, we can cut off some of these the bottom 2 teams every year. But now with the transfer portal and how guys are moving around and how recruiting has changed as far as pipelines being wider, I would say pipelines are wider than ever. As far as there's not necessarily pipelines anymore. Yeah, I don't think for the sake of the product for the NCAA, I don't think cutting off the teams would be as productive as it may have been a few years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because there were some years where there was a couple of years where Syracuse just had a down year and they're on a bubble of that, and it was we're gonna make the Big East tournament,
right?
We made the Big East tournament, and when they expanded it, it was a money play, right? So here's my and Pat and I had this conversation for guys like me who are work from home, the capability of turning on the TV and watching our favorite team play during the day. It does lose some fandom. And if you really wanted to go to those games, you literally got to take a whole week off of work. So you got to take a whole week off of work. That's where I come in to think that. But, I love this time of the year. I think my favorite thing to do, though, is and I'm a little biased because, we got to experience, you and I got to experience a conference tournament. For everyone that doesn't know, Mike and I used to be the beat writers for St. Bonaventure Bonnies.
Yep.
And what came with that is us going to these big arenas, doing media days. Excuse me, going to different arenas all across, and it was so cool. And that was something that we got out of school from Tuesday to whenever the team got eliminated.
Right.
What that might be, but that's the other thing. It kind of gives you some time to really be a professional as a school journalist and get you some professional takes and stuff, and get to go sit at the podium, sit and watch the media, watch them talk to people. Hopefully, any of the conference tournaments that tune into this show ever, we are definitely wanting to go back to a conference tournament.
Yep.
So we'll cover it for this show. So got to get our viewers up. Let's get these viewers up and let's get to these conference tournaments. But I kind of agree with you with that. I think that's I think the way the college landscape is, we haven't seen it yet, right? We haven't seen a team since UConn. If you remember UConn when they won the national championship with Kemba Walker, they were not a tournament team at all. If you go back and look at their record, I think they had like 15 or 16 losses. They were not a tournament team, and they went and won the Big East tournament with Kemba, Cardiac Kemba. They went and just rolled everyone in the Big East. They actually played Syracuse, beat everybody, and then went to the NCAA tournament, just rolled right through them. So we haven't seen a team like that in a long time, in my opinion. I don't think in a team that's been that far back, because remember, they played 4 days, so they're probably, I think there was at one point 16 teams in the Big East. I think they were like 14 or 13th seed. They went from that seed all the way to the Big East championship game.
Yeah, no, I mean I remember people like wondering whether when they were going to run out of gas, when Kemba wasn't going to be enough to help to push them through, and then it just never happened.
Yeah.
It just kept going and going and going, and that's another reason why the nickname Cardiac Kemba really sticks for him, not only because of like the clutch shots and being able to calm his heartbeat and all that kind of stuff. It's just like, man, he just keeps pumping and pumping and pumping. Like he just kept them going. He was an engine. He was an engine that year.
Yeah, I mean, he was just averaging almost over 30 points a game. He was literally their but the team was good too, right? The team should have been better than what it was. And I'll look that up. I'm going to look that up. Kemba Walker won. But, I think, they won 11 games in 27 days. He averaged 23.5 points per game. But that's what I'm saying is like they didn't have that. They don't have that anymore. We don't have a team of that sorts that would have been, that in that position where you have to win 4 straight days, right? Right. That's the way you look at it, right? You look at it, okay, 4 straight days. Let's win 4 straight days, and we're in the tournament. And a lot of teams don't look at it like that. They're like, oh, I'm done. You have a chance to win. You have a chance to go to the NCAA tournament. I mean, you guys should know more than anything. You guys you guys weren't a tournament team last year. You guys became one because of what you did in the ACC tournament. That's not the only one, but that's, in my opinion, that's the reason why you guys made it to the NCAA tournament, because of how far you went in the conference tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were on bubble watch going into the tournament, and it was they were like part of like the last 4 out or the next 4 out, or something like that. And yeah, they just, I mean, they played their best ball when they needed to, and then they made the national championship game. Right. And I don't say that just because I'm a North Carolina fan. Oh yeah, we won we went to the national championship game. Like,
right.
You can attest to this, because we would talk about it all the time. I did not think they were that good.
Yeah.
Like I was like I remember you guys were like, man, Mike, your boys are going on a little bit of a run, and I'm like, yeah, I know. I didn't see this coming.
Yeah.
I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. And that wasn't like, I was staying positive and like, okay, we can win these games, but it's like, okay, like eventually, again, you're going to run out of gas. Like they're pushing on, like Baycott hurts his ankle every game during the tournament. And I'm like, okay, this is it. No, okay. Well, geez, Brady Manick all of a sudden hit 4 threes in a row. And like, all right, man, Brady got kicked out against Baylor. Armando's nursing his ankle. Like, all right, this Baylor team's really good. And somehow they just, it goes back to that common term you hear during March Madness, survive in advance.
Yeah,
they just made it. Like, and they ran into a very, very good Kansas team.
Yeah. But they were also up 20 on that really good Kansas team.
I know. Then I had to go to work, and when I got to work, they were down by 10.
And I'm sorry, that team was 21-9, but at that time in college basketball, that was okay. That was a good record now, right? That's a good record now.
Yeah.
But that wasn't. They had to play 5 games at the Big East tournament, right, to get there. The St. Joe's team.
Yeah, that was a good team.
St. West and Jameer Nelson. Yeah, that was fun to watch. I agree. And then Kemba crossed that big guy from a pit up so bad it was such a sick play, man. He made him the dude's still falling at this point. So, but for everyone that's listening, we do have a new social platform. We are on TikTok, Cinco Podcast. So tune in to there, share our stuff. I don't know how that really works, but share our stuff. Take a look and
make it happen.
We'll be posting some cool Tick'em Tock'ems, as I always say. So, of course, Cinco Squad Podcast on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and then you can find us on Spotify, iHeart, and Apple Music. So don't forget to go subscribe, share that, tell all your friends, family, neighbors, dogs, cats.
The random people you see on a street corner, just shout it. Just start shouting it.
Cinco Squad!
Yeah, there you go. Because then they'll wonder what it is, and they'll go look it up, and then they'll find us. So
we will be on tomorrow.
We will.
8:45 Eastern. So still tune in tomorrow. We are going to be on live here. Hopefully I can get everything to work here here in the next day or so. But we're going to be live, tomorrow night with all the guys on here.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony, the reason why the guys, this was the last minute Mike and I thing we told them, but, it's too last minute for them. So no worries on their end. But, Mike, you got any last final thoughts before we take this off the air?
Just that thank you, everybody that tuned in and watched and watches going forward. We appreciate you guys. Definitely watch. The normal episode will be tomorrow, 8:45 as usual. It's going to be a great show. We got a good one planned. And I'm excited for college basketball. Oh, and no, Anthony, I do not think Stephon Diggs is leaving the Bills.
Yeah, Anthony, sorry about that. Just saw your comment.
We're on a basketball kick right now.
I'll answer that. Hey, Anthony, I'll answer that question tomorrow, okay? Sounds good? All right, guys. Well, you guys have a great rest of your night. Thanks for tuning in this Wednesday night special. Enjoy the rest of college basketball. It's going to be nuts. It's madness, baby. See you guys tomorrow.
Go Heels, please.